Hello and welcome to Metra AV Tech Tips. I'm Brent.
I'm Adam.
Welcome aboard. So Adam, what's today's show about? And more importantly, because I'm going to put you on the spot now, what's our next giveaway? Are we still on the previous one or are we starting a new one?
We are, well, the giveaway is done for the last series, so we're starting up a new giveaway.
Oh boy.
And it's the same thing. We're going to give away.
That's because you haven't thought about it, have you?
I've thought about it, and at this point, really and truthfully, it's just a really good quality giveaway that we're going to go along with this one. But specifically, we're going along with this one because of what it is that this next series is that we're talking about. Because I thought about it.
Oh, that was a heck of a save.
Well, I went with it. So anyway, so here's so here's what's happening. This is the first episode of a 3-part series. So for the next 3 weeks, actually, technically the next 4 weeks, because the end of this month you're not here.
Yes, the end of, yes.
Yes, and so we're skipping 1 week. We're going to take some time off, take some much needed rest and
you're
relaxation.
Take a break while I'm gone?
I am. Yes, I am. Very much so.
See, honestly, I was looking forward to seeing you do all the work while I sat back and wait. That's every week.
I was going to say there's no difference between that and what we're doing now.
I just wouldn't be here sitting back.
Yes, exactly. So, this next series that we're going to be talking about is just system design. And at first, I was going to do an HDMI system design, but then I remembered that we just did that. And so instead, what we're going to talk about is just system design overall, but still in the AV side. So we're not going to get into automation or anything like that, except for when we talk about how to control certain devices. But I wanted to talk about inputs, interconnects, and then displays. And when I say interconnects, that's going to be next week's episode. But when I say interconnects, I'm specifically talking about not necessarily the cabling that connects everything, but the devices that are in between the source and the endpoint, to use a Control 4 term. So whether it be a display,
get that in there, don't you?
I have to. Yeah, come on. I'm certified. So, well, I'm certifiably, anyways. So the and then the endpoint can be a display, it can be an amplifier, whatever it is that you're doing, right? And so it could be a projector, TV, amplifier, speaker system, whatever it is. So today's topic is about sources or inputs.
Hence the large variety of components that are sitting on our counter.
Yes, exactly. So that's what today's topic is about. And actually, I don't have my little doohickey that lets me forward it on to the next thing. So today's topic is about sources.
Well, wait, before we get there, let's go through our usual housekeeping.
Yep. Like, share, subscribe, hit that little bell notification to let you know when we go live, which of course is every Wednesday at 3 p.m. and now every Friday at 3 p.m. And of course, any other time that we upload other information, which we do fairly often, actually. We upload some videos about our other products and how-tos and whatever else.
Yes, you do a lot of stuff on the weekend and with Brandon, and Will starting to do more of the product-specific videos.
Yep.
And hopefully unboxings will return in the near future.
Yeah. The unboxings is actually I'm kind of excited about, because I don't think you and I are doing that. I think we have someone else doing that.
That'd be interesting to watch.
That will be interesting. We'll have to see how that turns out. So, anyways, all that to say, thank you again, everybody, for checking in with today's episode. And if you have any questions about whatever it is that we're talking about today, feel free to leave them over here in the chat section on this side, or you can leave it down below in the comment section down below if you're catching this after the fact. And then, or if you just want to say hi, we're happy to hear from you as always, or anybody who's watching it, and we can go from there. So,
well, before you get into it, I'm going to hijack a little bit.
Yep, go for it.
Because something came up this weekend that worries me a little bit.
Okay.
And it actually started with you last week with your email on a new product development.
Okay.
Shortages.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So there is...
well, and we're not going to get into that specific detail today, but let me tell you what that led me to thinking about.
Yep.
As a CI, when I started in this business, I can make a quote, and when I gave that quote, those prices were good for 6, 8, sometimes 12 months.
Yeah.
Those days are gone.
Yeah, those are,
So I've started talking with dealers this week. When you give a quote, what are you putting in there? Most of them are giving 30 days.
Yeah.
I think those days are gone. My opinion right now, and you and I talked about this, I went to Sam's over the weekend, the TV section was empty.
Sam's is empty, Walmart, and many of the Walmarts, the electronics section are empty.
They're empty.
I of all things I needed, I went into Walmart looking for just a 2-pair phone connection. I needed a phone cable. I needed an RJ11 for something, and I went in there, and luckily they still had that, but that was like the only thing that was in there. Yeah,
nobody needs
it. But Yeah, no, the shortages that are happening right now, I know you all have already heard about it with what's going on with the auto manufacturers just stopping production.
Well, and here's something you told me today I didn't know.
Yeah.
My assumption when you said there's chip shortages, we're looking at primary processor chips.
Yeah.
We're not.
No, we're looking at things like internal power supplies, things that take the AC voltage and convert it over to something that the actual processor inside the device actually uses. We're looking at shortages across the board when it comes to anything with silicone in it. So we're looking at some, major issues right now in manufacturing.
Not short term.
No.
So, and kind of where I was going with this is the ability to create a quote with part numbers, with prices, I think is out the window at this moment.
Yeah.
I think the best you can do is say, based on the date and put it in the contract of this quote, here's the prices that we know them to be.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine putting a contract out there where the guy may not sign, and this is not uncommon. It may sit on their desk for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and they get around to signing it, and guess what? That model number's gone, that whatever it is, AVR is no longer available, and now it's your hiney on the line to have to provide this, so I would legitimately, and this is going to be a tough one, price has got to be locked to that date.
Yeah.
And it's got to have wording saying, because of this, because of these shortages, because of the change, we cannot guarantee these prices.
Yeah.
Even labor prices are no longer guaranteeable because of fluctuations in materials.
Yep.
Time and materials prices.
Yep.
Fluctuation in fuel.
Yep.
Availability of fuel, as we're seeing right now in the Southeast.
Yeah.
This being the middle of May.
Beginning of May.
Right?
Well, but beginning of May. Well,
Okay.
middle of May. I guess it is the 12th.
So right now we're already facing lines at the gas stations.
Yeah.
And nothing to do with China, just
Speaking of, I have to stop off and get gas on the way home. That's
Good luck.
going to be interesting. Actually,
So-
this is silver lining. Kind of flipping the narrative on this a little bit. Not to bring all doom and gloom and everything for that, but you can use this to your advantage. When honestly, we should have a topic on this or a show on sales tactics and stuff. This is a public domain, so we do have a lot of
we don't tell
consumers and
secrets
stuff.
on this.
But the thing is that this is a good opportunity for you to be able to say, look, if you want to do this job, the pricing is okay right now. It's not great, but it's okay right now. We don't know where it's going right now, so this may be a good opportunity for you to go ahead and put a deposit so I can order the equipment. And not only the equipment, copper in general.
Oh, Lord.
We just sent off we were just talking to, Stuart and I were talking to a dealer, and we informed them that, honestly, if you need category wire, if you have a job that's 90 days out, you should be buying it today.
Well, it's not just that, plastic.
Yeah.
As you know, our parent company is Metra Electronics. They make plastic dash kits.
Yeah.
Plastic's in shy supply.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything, the COVID was a complete surprise to everybody when retail sales and the work started going up, and nobody was prepared.
Nope. So to put a little damper on the doom and gloom, let's go ahead and shift phase now. But he's right. So keep an eye out for what's going on out there. Keep an eye out for prices and for products.
Don't make promises.
If it's something that you sell a lot of, or that that you walk through, or that you sell through quite a bit of, stock up. This is honestly the time now to stock up on stuff so that SKUs, stock up on those, because you may not be able to get it the next time. Truthfully, that's just
Whether
what it is, and
AVRs,
it's scary.
mounts, displays, cables, extenders.
We've
doesn't matter.
We've seen it with AVRs for the last almost year now.
Yes.
With AVRs, very very much so. TVs are now starting to do that as well. Other devices, and now going back to our topic of the day, sources. We're starting to see issues getting source devices as well. So it's a scary time for us. But you know what? We're here. We're going to keep pushing through with it. We're going to be, as forward with it as possible to make sure that you guys get what you need out in the field. And we're going to keep moving forward as best we can. And we'll see on the other side of this, because I think it's going to be. I think once we get past everything,
the industry is
we're gonna be great.
absolutely in growth mode.
Yeah, very much so.
We're able to do stuff now that 5 years ago we couldn't even dream of doing or have fantasies about.
Yeah.
With 8K, with 4K, with the size of panels, with the power.
Oh, yeah.
That's being put into AVRs now.
Yeah.
We couldn't have done this 5 years ago.
That's
It's
going to be
amazing.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go back to our topic of the day. We'll get off the doom and gloom a little bit and get more talking into...
Return to the non-hijack topic?
Yeah, exactly. So when we talk about sources, kind of one of the things that we should discuss when it comes to sources is, well, what is a source? So, Brent,
are you looking for an answer?
I am
or is
looking
this a
for an answer.
rhetorical question?
Yeah, well, no, I'm looking for an answer. Brent, what is a source?
A source is any device that can provide content, whether audio, visual, or metadata, to the next device in line.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's almost like you pulled it out of a.
Yeah, had I known what today's topic was, I might have.
You would have looked it up, yeah.
I would have had a little bit more concise.
So this is not necessarily media itself. This is not like a VCS or sorry a VHS tape. This is not necessarily a DVD or a Blu-ray or a record or whatever it is.
It's the electronic device providing the path forward.
Yes, and so the media, we're not talking about the media per se, it's just the device that actually is taking that media and beginning the transmission of that media, right? So that's basically what a source is, but what else is a source, right?
I'm going to ask you a question on this one, because I'm a little bit older.
Okay.
For me,
your little legacy, yeah.
Connectivity came down to an RF connection, an RCA connection.
Yep.
And at the very beginning, that's all we had.
Yep.
And a speaker terminal.
Yep.
In the 80s, they added S-Video.
Yes.
Do you even know what that is?
I know what it is. I don't know exactly how it works. I have used S-Video, I believe, once in my entire life. To be perfectly honest with it. Probably, and there may have been actually no. I've used it twice. Now that you put it that way, I've used it once for video purposes and twice for tying something closed. That is very true. Actually, I have done that. I had to close I had to keep a door closed on a Sprinter van because something was sticking out the back of it.
And what's the least used cable in the truck?
The S-Video cable that I ripped out of a project before. Yeah, I did do that. I have done that before. Yeah. So now S-Video. It's not composite. It's not component.
Well,
it's
it is
somewhere
composite,
in between.
But it is standard analog video.
Okay.
Where we have separated the luminance, chrominance from the base signal.
Yeah.
So when you look at S-Video, you've got the brightness down 2 conductors and the baseband down the other conductors, and it's put back together. The idea being that you get a crisper, cleaner picture, and you did.
So it's almost component at that point, right? Kind of. It's just taking 2 different types of signal.
The colors.
Unless you had vertical and horizontal.
No, that's still like a version of component.
Okay.
S-Video simply separated the luminance from the chrominance.
Right. So you could get a little bit of a better picture on it if you did that.
And typically S-Video also included more lines of resolution. Mm-hmm. They just built better electronics to do that.
Got it.
So if you had, you mentioned VHS earlier.
Yep.
If you had a standard VHS tape, it's somewhere around 325 lines of resolution.
Yep.
Which is not much.
Nope. Nope, it's not.
It's not much. With S-Video, you were right at 400, give or take.
Yep.
So it's a little crisper, cleaner picture. It's like, ooh, look at that. To us, that was high definition.
Well, and to be fair,
compared to what we had,
yeah, it really was. Yeah. Now, today, of course, when you have an 8K display that has how many vertical lines?
20. No, it's 3840, 3860.
Yep, 3860.
By 2140?
Nope, no, that's not it at all. Anyways, that's a fraction of what that is. So you take those pixel lines on an 8K TV now and show that.
Math toss out to me that make me use my memory and fail.
Yeah, you're
Thank you
welcome.
for doing that online.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, well, it's always I have to do it live, or else there's no bite to it. Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, okay, Brent. With a source device, we've brought a couple things to show and tell.
Yes, we
now,
did.
Of course, I just literally grabbed a bunch of stuff from the rack here and what was over there on the shelf and whatever I could find and threw it together here.
I brought in some beautiful
pieces. Oh yeah, beautiful pieces. So, with a source device, you have, of course, a couple things to consider with a source device. Of course, it's what is the media that you want to watch or take in, watch or listen to. What is the format that it's going to use to transmit that information? Oh, somebody's trying to call me. And what is I guess at that point, what's the service coming into it? Because all of that kind of has a play in it. So of course, the server's coming into something like, say, a CD player. That's the CD itself. The media being the content that's on the CD, and then of course the output of that is it's formatted as maybe, well, it's not an MP3 when it's burned onto a disc.
No, it's WAV.
It's a WAV, yeah. And so at that point you have a WAV format.
Or DCD, and there's a number of formats thrown, high resolution CD and
Right.
DVD audio and...
Yeah. So with that being said, you have to consider also things like Blu-ray players or DVD players. Same thing. You have to make sure that all the content works inside the player itself. Now, the nice thing is that most source devices are kind of dedicated to handling those already. Very little has to be concerned from us
Yes.
on how that works. Now, in the days of HDMI now, we have to consider that a little bit more because of bandwidth limitations, but when it comes to CD players or audio players or cable boxes and stuff, you have very little concern about them.
This is an interesting example of that.
Yeah.
Now this is...
You want to show the class?
This is kind of the tail end of CD players. Once
Yeah.
again, I'm upside down.
Yep. You'll get it.
Now, we have our standard analog outputs.
Yep.
We also have a fixed output. Now, the reason this offers both variable and fixed on this particular player is it may go directly into an amp if you have no other devices.
Yes.
So variable output, fixed output. We've also got a line in because you can use this as a preamp.
Okay.
So you can plug in a portable device.
Kind of like the Oppo Blu-ray players
Right.
that let you bring
Right.
in stuff.
And then you've got video out because you can play DVDs on this, or if it's a DVD or CD with video to output song information. Two forms of digital output, digital coax and digital optical.
Does this one have the surround sound CD formats?
No.
No, okay.
No, those are on, now those are on DVD players.
Okay, it's just DVD players at that
Right.
point then, okay.
And then you've also got serial control, but the USB can also be an audio input on this one because it has
An MP3
the
player?
MP3 player built in. So all of those are either inputs or outputs depending on what's next in line.
Now this is a really, really nice, it's a Parasound,
Yeah,
is that right?
Parasound Z series.
Yeah, and so with that being a really nice CD player, it's got more capabilities. Now, of course, if you had just like a
$39 Walmart.
Yep, just kind of
You're
threw it
gonna get a
together
pair
there.
of, you're gonna have a red and a white output, and that's it.
Yeah. So, hey Leo, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for being on the video.
Now, see, Leo's my age, so he's seen lots of fun stuff. through the
Leo's
years.
your age? I don't think that.
I think Leo's close.
I don't think anyone's close to your age.
Come on, legacy fella. Leo says there are no Blu-ray 4K players with analog legacy out. Do you know why? There's a real thing for this doesn't count. This doesn't count. This doesn't count.
Why not?
Here's what he's talking about. Component. There is no Blu-ray player with a 4K Blu-ray player with component
Well,
output.
I'll grant you that one.
Yes.
Because what does component not do?
It doesn't do HDCP. It doesn't give you the protection capabilities out of it.
Right. What resolution does component not officially support? Let me rephrase it. What's the highest resolution component officially supports?
1080p?
No.
1080i?
Yes.
Okay, but it'll do 1080p.
Well, it can do 1080p. It depends on the device.
Okay.
Most TVs won't accept 1080p on component.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Because it was not part of the spec. That was intended for HDMI as part of the analog sunset.
I need one of those I need to be able to hit a button that makes the more you know thing go across the screen.
Oh, from
That's
CBS?
Yeah, from
the
CBS.
kids, the Saturday morning?
More you know.
More you know.
Yeah, there you go. See,
With the stars falling?
yeah, they called it. They had a term for it. Sunsetting or
It was the analog sunset.
Analog sunset. That's exactly what it was.
I just said that.
Yeah. Did you say that?
I did.
I did not hear that. We've had this conversation a few times this week where
just
you think you
don't-
said something and you didn't say it.
Play back that tape.
All right. So, yeah, Leo, you are correct. The Blu-ray players, you have to consider that if you want to have, or if you have a client that has maybe an older, Pioneer Elite flat screen plasma that
we got one
doesn't
of
have.
those.
Yeah, we did have one of those.
No, we have a client that has one of those.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that is over there, isn't it?
Yeah, guess who's connecting to that next week?
Are you working on that? Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. But in those situations, you only have component on, at least the first generation of those.
Okay, this one at least has HDMI.
Yeah, no, exactly. But the very early first generations of them didn't have HDMI. They just had component, or the HDMI is so old that
was
nothing's
DVI.
going to work on it. Yeah. So with that, you have to, be aware. You can't just buy
Bly?
You can't just buy a Blu-ray player and just to add it to the system because it's
I'm
not
add
going to
a
work.
little, we used to have the audio solutions piece.
Yeah.
Which was our TV mount that had built-in amplifier, subwoofer, and speakers.
Yes.
It had an analog input, digital input, and optical and a digital coax.
Yep.
So at CEDIA one year, Denon said, yeah, we'll be happy to bring you some players.
Mm-hmm.
So they bring some Denon, some Marantz players. We take them over there. There was no digital outputs. There was no analog outputs.
Only HDMI?
It had only HDMI outputs on
Oh, that's unfortunate. But guess what you got to do during that time? It's one of your favorite things to do.
it.
Solve a problem.
Go scrounge.
Yeah, go scrounge, solve a problem. Yeah, no, exactly. It just so when you are designing your system, and actually now's probably a good time to talk about this. If you design, okay, here's what we're going to do. On each one of these episodes, we're going to design a system starting at whatever it is that we're talking about. So today we're talking about sources. If you were to design a system starting with the source, what would be your first consideration?
What does the customer use?
Good
Number
idea.
one.
Yeah.
And what did I have to source as a source 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks. Oh, VCR. Yeah. And VHS tapes. Well, what was the other thing?
8mm and digital video from Sony.
Yes. Yeah, you had to because
So
it was
VHS,
recorded.
8mm and DV.
Yep. Did you find all of them?
I found all of them.
Did you? Good job.
And
Good
a
on you.
VHS-C adapter.
Now you actually found an old, and I wish we could borrow it to talk about it. You found an old VCR that was top loading, but it was designed as a portable
to go with the camera.
to go with the camera. Who made that? That was
Sony.
Sony. Okay, yeah.
Panasonic, Sony, Hitachi, and Mitsubishi were the manufacturers primarily of those.
Now, as old as that piece was it during the Betamax battle?
Yes.
Okay.
So Sony made both formats.
Okay. So they were competing with themselves.
Well, no, they just didn't want to miss an opportunity to make money.
Sure. Okay. I'm with that.
I mean, they should have given beta to everybody, but they were,
Yeah.
greedy with it, and
Yeah.
it cost them.
They should have gone farther with it. Should have opened it up a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to put this out there. What is your favorite source? And I don't care if it's a current source. I don't care if it's a source from the 80s.
Well, that's easy, reel to reel.
Reel to reel?
Reel to reel.
Why?
Because it's sexy.
It just looks cool.
It just looks,
you get to
there's
see it
something about
spinning
a
and
big piece of gear
Yep.
with 10-inch reels on it.
Okay.
And aluminum 10-inch reels.
Ooh.
Moving.
Yep.
And you get involved, you feed that tape through,
Well-
you get the tension wheels all right, and when you hear that thing go clack,
Yep.
oh yeah.
Yep. Reel to reel. Okay. Now, when we do a hi-fi video, do you still have your reel to reel?
No.
We need to get with somebody to figure out how we can get a reel-to-reel system, because I have never experienced a reel-to-reel audio system.
I've done a number of the high-end audio shows through the years, and there is still a serious market for guys refurbing those things and keeping them running, because there's a it's like the analog versus digital arguments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody has a reason their way is better.
Right.
Whether it's a record or DVD or CD or Blu-ray or HD DVD or MP3.
Well, that's why records haven't gone anywhere. That's why
No, they're
vinyl
back.
is still,
It was here, it went to there, and now it's kind of there.
Yeah. It's for the collectors and the enthusiasts,
records are fun because you're involved in them.
Mm-hmm.
Look, when you pick up your phone and you scroll down through your 120,000s of songs,
Yep.
or Spotify or Pandora, there's no feeling of ownership.
Yes.
When you go and you pick that record up out of the rack, you look at that full-size cover and it's like, oh yeah, it's Boston.
It's Boston.
It's Boston.
Okay.
So you take it over there and you slide the paper sleeve out.
Or what was it we were just listening to? We were listening to Beethoven.
ELO. Electric Light Orchestra.
Yeah.
Roll over Beethoven.
Uh-huh.
So you roll it out and you got that whole thing in your hand with your finger on the bottom of the paper and your middle finger holding the
edge.
center. Yeah, the center of it, because it's still in the wrap.
Okay. Yep.
And generally you have a hole in the middle.
Sure.
So you can see the title information. You slide it out.
Mm-hmm.
You got that record in both hands. You go over and you set it down on the turntable and you break out your cleaner, your zero stat gun, just to make sure there's no pops or clicks on it.
Yep.
You got your stylus cleaner. It is an experience because you're doing stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then that stylus eases down on there nice and slow. And the music starts.
Yep. You get a little bit of, just a tiny little pop and a little bit of going, yeah.
And it's the involvement.
Mm-hmm.
CD, less involvement. Okay, you got to clean it and you drop it in the thing, you hit the drawer, the tray closes, and you go.
Sure.
Now everything's down to your iPad, your iPhone, your Android.
I can
Or
talk to it now and
one
just
of
kind
these,
of.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Good.
And honestly,
What is that, Brent?
this is an Amazon. It's not the link.
Source, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a source.
Don't they
But
call it an
no.
Amazon? Here, it might be written on the bottom of it. Can you read it?
No, I can't. You're on drugs. I don't remember. They discontinued it because they overheat and they shut off.
Yeah, it's basically the Amazon
It's
input
basically
or
a
source or
dot
something
without
like that.
the speaker.
Yeah, it's got a 3.5 output on it where you would run it into an amplifier of some kind, and then you could run with that.
But I mean, now you just say Alexa, play.
Yeah.
Now, and that's nice and it's convenient, but you lose the interaction.
So we've got Steve Barrett in here. He says you should have
Hello,
called
Steve.
me. I still have all of it working.
Send video.
Yeah, honestly, go
Seriously,
on to
send video.
if you're on Instagram, send us a video of it on Instagram to our Instagram page. It's at AV Tech Tips. We'd love to see it. Go ahead and
here's
shoot
my
us a video of
question.
that.
Are you still mechanical linkage? Are you solenoid linkage so you get that really nice pop when that tape starts moving?
Yeah.
When you looked at the really high-end machines, they
Yep.
had solenoid-operated drive mechanisms: play, stop, pause, fast forward, rewind, and they were even auto reverse models.
Okay.
And so you'd have these beautiful big keys,
Yep.
big play button, track, fast forward, rewind,
Right,
pause, and
right.
stop, and you hit it, and it would take a half a second for it to go clack, while those tension wheels pulled up, the motors kicked in.
It did whatever you needed
Yeah.
it to do and did all that. Randall saying reel to reel sounds good, but you cannot beat a master pressing on LP vinyl played through a good tube amp.
And he's right. And the real question is, are we
Yeah.
Nautilus, are we Mobile Fidelity, or what is your pressing of choice?
Ooh, is there different? Okay.
Oh, hell yeah. Pardon the French. Hell yes.
Okay.
And it's not just the pressing, it's also the vinyl quality.
This is an entirely new world to
and
me.
and you and I talked about this earlier.
Uh-huh.
We're going to have a turntable episode.
Okay.
This is going to be a 4-episode series.
Oh, we're going to throw this
Yeah, we're gonna throw a turntable,
into this series?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right.
Or do we separate and have a hi-fi series?
I think we need to have a hi-fi series. It seems like we've got enough guys that are definitely interested in it, and of course you've got some history with
Legacy.
it. And you know who else we could talk to? We might be able to bring in Mr. Boccaccio.
Yeah.
Because he's from the industry
He is from
during that
the
time.
original 2-channel.
Yeah. So we might be able to talk to him about some of it.
Well, he sold, he started in retail back in the 60s.
And then we've got now. Actually, real quick question: who was it that we were talking to through the comment section about Brent's? You had a system you were talking about with like a rosewood bass and sapphire topper, and it was a certain
we were
song
talking-
that you were playing that
It
was.
was the Telearch 1812 Overture.
Yes, yeah. Who was it that we were talking? I forget who it was that we were talking to.
That's the one that would literally kick the stylus right off the album.
Yeah. Watch it bounce is what you had said. Steve Barrett saying Russell Industries in New York still spins new rubber on your old RTR pinch rollers. So if you have
Now, do you,
it's the okay. So only because I understand a little bit of the concepts of what's happening here, it's the things that give you the tension at that point. Correct? Is where it
well,
actually.
no, you have tension wheels that just float.
Okay.
But the rollers actually, you've got the tape head.
Uh-huh.
This is your tape head.
Yep.
So actually, it's like this. So the tape runs under it, and
Yep.
then you're going to have some metal arms coming out that the rollers go up against to roll against that, and then the tape
Sure.
pulls that. This tape is just
Free.
right, and that's why the tension rod, so it doesn't overspin.
Got it. Yeah, and everything comes spinning
Right.
off of it. Steve Barrett says goosebumps, Brent. All the things you're talking about. Okay, it's decided then. We're going to have to do a hi-fi episode series. I don't know. I'll need your help to structure
this
it.
is just-
and we'll get a chance to kind of talk about all the different things, right? How much of the hi-fi stuff do you still have?
Well, obviously the speakers,
Okay.
the electronics, the turntable.
Okay.
I'm willing to bet I can get my hands on a tape deck.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll do it. I think it's worth it for us to do an episode on that. Mostly because, truthfully,
It's fun.
you could still use
Every bit
today's
of it.
product with the hi-fi systems.
Absolutely. And here's the other side of it.
Uh-huh.
Video is wonderful. Mm-hmm. And video is the primary selling thing we do because everybody's got a television.
Yeah.
But when you get somebody excited about audio, hearing things that, let's face it,
Yeah.
when you're watching TV, and we're seeing ourselves directly in front of us for those of you who aren't here, you're seeing a TV and it's beautiful and it's enveloping because you're watching the movie.
Yes.
But when you sit down, you've got your drink,
You're giving
You
all the
got your
good stuff.
favorite
You're,
album?
you're doing all the good stuff for this one.
you've got your favorite
All
album,
right.
and my Sunday album is Phoebe Snow.
Okay. Okay. Pour yourself a nice drink and
Sit down in the
yep.
chair, you got the speakers, the lights are dimmed, you close your eyes, and what happens is that band, that artist, whoever it is, if it's a good recording, is not just in the speakers. The speakers disappear.
And I just
And what you have is typically the lead singer up front center, and if they've mic'd properly,
you
The
can tell
height is
how
right.
tall they are. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And then you've got the bass player.
Uh-huh.
And you've got the guitar player. And it's not just, oh, they look at the TV, look at the crispness. It's beautiful, it's 8K, it's whatever.
It's 3D.
It's 3D, it's real.
Ah.
Whether it's a tape offered the advantage, particularly with tape, the faster you go, the better the fidelity.
Okay.
And we'll cover that in that episode.
Which
as to why.
makes sense. I can understand the concept of something like that because you get
Same
more
thing with vinyl.
more data at that
There
point.
were 45 RPM albums, which offered better fidelity than a 33.
Okay, let's save some of this because this is some really good stuff, and we need to save some of it for that episode. Let's do this. We have this episode. The next episode, we're jumping a week. We have the last episode for this series. We have one more episode after that that's already scheduled for
Okay,
for some
then
other stuff.
then we'll start
do
scheduling the hi-fi.
yeah, we'll do the hi-fi after that. Okay, and you'll have to help me structure that series so we can talk about it correctly.
You know, we need to do that episode at my
here we go.
house.
Steve is saying, mess with Adam's mind and find a Nakamichi Dragon deck to bring in and have him set it up. Have me actually do it. Whoa, that could be part of the series. Have me actually put some of this together.
First off, the number of buttons on the Dragon.
Okay.
As a cassette deck. Okay,
Really?
yeah,
A cassette
do you
deck?
have any idea what tape bias means?
No idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you
no
know the
idea.
difference between ferrous oxide, chromium oxide, and metal tapes?
That's what the tape is actually using
but
as
you know
to
the difference.
magnetize it. I have no idea.
Oh, this is going to be
No
fun. Do you know
idea.
the difference between 3 1/4 and 7 1/8 speeds?
Just one's faster than the other.
That's what I was gonna say. That sounds faster.
Why? And how does that affect time?
Okay, I guess we have things to talk about, don't we? Okay. Well, we'll have a
in a simulation.
Yeah, we're all living in a simulation. Randall's saying MP3s are too sterile to give you that imagining Brent is talking about, to give you that imaging. I agree with you 100% because when you look at comparing legacy to today, you really have with the legacy side of things, you have some similar things to deal with on the new stuff because, like you were talking about, when you have the ability to increase the speed, you have better fidelity overall. With the new stuff, with like MP3 file, not MP3 files, but digital recordings of things, it's kind of, and there's a lot of quotes there, kind of the same thing, similar concept.
Well, the higher
because
the sampling
number of
rate,
sampling, right?
The higher the sampling rate, the better the fidelity.
Yeah.
And every bit of this takes us way past today's topic.
I was going to say we're talking.
Which was
it turned into an
sources.
audio. It turned into an audio topic
Which
today.
was sources and kind of connections.
Yeah.
And look, the difference between this and this.
Yes.
Now, this is nowhere near the wattage of this.
Correct. Well, and also
Nowhere near the wattage
that's not
of
even
that.
an amplifier. That's just a preamp.
Well, that's true. I don't have the amp in this stuff.
Yeah, correct. It's 80 pounds in the other
Yeah,
office.
no. That's
That's the easy one.
no,
That's
they
the
make
small one.
They make one like this. They make an amp this size.
Okay.
And it's great for running a pair of bookshelf speakers. It,
Okay.
it really is.
Okay.
In fact, I probably would have brought the whole system. This actually belongs to our social media guy,
Mm-hmm.
Will. And unfortunately, his young children popped out the tweeter
No.
in his titanium tweeter
Oh no.
in his speakers.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to find a new tweeter. So I didn't bring the amp and the
Well,
speakers.
yeah.
But here's the thing. This is a nice piece of gear.
Yep.
But it's not hi-fi.
No.
It's
I'll give you
video.
that. 100%.
It's video.
Yep, I'll give you that.
This has higher wattage than this does.
Correct.
This has a whole lot more features
Yes.
than this does.
Correct.
This costs less money than this does with the amp.
Correct. Yes.
The difference being this, no pun intended, Sony, is a McDonald's hamburger.
Yep. Yep.
This is the burger that you make at home that you have lovingly
it's a Wagyu.
taken the best meat,
Right.
mixed in a little bit of pepper,
What was it you had?
bit of garlic.
You went down to South Florida and had a
In
Vegas?
Austin? Austin?
Vegas or somewhere? Arizona, that's right. Yeah. What'd you have out there?
Wagyu, A5, Wagyu.
And that's the
That's what that
difference
is over
between
there, right? You've got
McDonald's-
the McDonald's hamburger and now not
And
again.
this takes us to an episode 2 down because it's not just this, it's how you connect all of this.
Yes, and that's how all this is kind of work together. And so I don't want to go too far into that. But when we talk about the quality of the entire system, that's why I wanted to start with the source, because the quality of the entire system starts at the source.
Yes, it does.
Correct? And so you have,
Well,
let's say...
the quality of the entire system starts with the intent. What are you using the system for? That's
yep.
the first question
Yep.
to ask.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, do you have distributed audio at your house?
No. Well, no.
I do.
Okay.
I've got the very nice speakers that Miranda was kind enough to get me from our buddies at...
yeah, where's she working? True Audio?
No.
No, that's Jimmy. We had an episode with Jimmy at True Audio.
God. I'm feeling old now.
Yep, nope, I'm not. I'm
And
pulling
then
off
I've
the
got
Origin?
The Origin, that's
There
it.
you go.
Thank you.
Yep, Origin.
Origin. I've got 2 pair of those in the patio. And then I've got inside, for a bunch of years, we sold a 6.5 inch with a BG ribbon tweeter in them.
Yep.
And they're spread throughout my house.
Okay.
Now, I am using a D&M
Yep.
made multi-zone amplifiers.
Yep.
So I'm using a D&M 50 watt multi-zone amp. For most of it, I've got a couple of Parasound amps for the larger volume areas.
Yes. Real quick. Everyone who's checking in right now, if you haven't heard, I'm looking for your favorite source. I'm looking to see, and put it over here in the chat section over here on the side, because I want to know what your favorite source is. It doesn't matter if it was something from 30 years ago.
And if you still got it, send a photo.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. At AV Tech Tips on Instagram, you can send us the photo there, and hashtag AV Tech Tips, so that we can find
And
the
if you
picture
still
of
have
it.
a working reel-to-reel, please, or a Tanberg.
Yeah. We want to see, it would be great to see some old systems, some old hi-fi systems. It'd be great to see some new systems.
I'd love to see some of the nice, really wood-based Thorns tables too.
Show us some of the, show us some of your, show us some of your rack porn. It's something that we tried many years ago to get off the table, and we got shut down by some personnel and other areas.
She did not like that phrase at all.
Show us some of your rack porn. Show us how a nice, clean, tidy rack setup.
Or better yet, your hi-fi.
Or your hi-fi. There you go. So, anyways,
start with the intent.
Yes.
Are you going to sit down and listen to serious music?
Okay.
Or are you going to walk in the front door, Alexa, play Frank Sinatra?
Sure.
That is number one question.
Yes.
Literally the number one question. Because that's going to tell you where you go from there. Everything is built upon your destination.
Yes. So, and I will agree with you on that, because that changes how you decide how the system is designed. Are you designing for the quality of the material, or are you designing for the quality of the interface?
The convenience.
Yes, the convenience of it.
Now, I'm walking a little bit of both worlds on this, because I've got good in-wall speakers.
Yep.
I've got decent outside speakers.
Yep.
And ultimately, it still ties into my 2-channel system.
Yes. But you have an Amazon as one of your sources.
Yes, I do.
Yep. And because it's nice to walk in and say,
Amazon HD.
Yes, you are. Yeah. Well, you're paying the extra money for it,
Yes,
right?
I am.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to argue with the Tidal and Deezer guys. Yes, they're better.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I can just, you walk in the door, and again, it comes down to what's your client's intent.
Yep.
Don't oversell something they don't need.
Yeah.
Encourage them to step up a little bit. You know what? Don't just put in a pair of 6.5 inch basic coaxes. Let's put a better tweeter in there. Let's give you a little bit better woofer.
Yep.
Let's look at, okay, I know your interior designer wants them completely hidden.
Yep.
But let's, in this room, let's look at the option of giving yourself a little bit better fidelity.
Well, and that's the same idea when it comes to, you have a listening room, or you have a theater
I have
room,
a listening
and
room.
you have.
This is not for my listening room.
Oh, you're just saying
This is the kitchen,
your
the
master
bathroom,
bedroom,
the bedroom,
yeah.
the living room, the patio, and the garage.
The places where, yes, the music is in the background, but it's also in the foreground because you're singing along with it.
Yes,
in those spaces.
and places that nobody joins me at because I sing that bad.
Yep.
And you've heard it.
Yep.
Just before this broadcast started.
But it'll happen shortly after this broadcast ends. I'm sure it will. Anyways, so I'm with you on this, on designing the system, starting with the source based on what the client is looking for. And so going off of that, from there, if you have someone who is looking for the best quality of the material, then at that point, then you want to look at things like,
just
better.
assuming it's MP3 and saying, well, all MP3s sound like poo-poo. They don't. They sound like poo-poo through this.
Yep.
There are much better devices for taking Deezer and Tidal and Amazon HD and converting them into analog. This at $39
Yes.
is not that device.
Yes. There is...
Actually, this sounds better
Yeah.
because you've got the HDMI output and multi-channel.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound bad.
Nope.
I think this sounds better than this.
But it also still comes down to what are you plugging those into? Because if the DAC
Yes.
inside of that, the thing you're
And
plugging into...
there are other
Yes.
high-end companies that will make
Yeah.
streaming interfaces. You can spend $3,000 for a streaming interface.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume, I don't own one of those, I can't afford it, but I assume they sound substantially better than that does. They
Yep.
had better.
Yep. Well, if nothing else, they have much greater output potential than that does, because they may have like a higher voltage preamp output.
And now the next thing, just for what it's worth, even if you're putting this in there,
Yeah.
let's assume this is your source. I can tell you from changing cables at my house,
Yes.
your cable still plays a part in this. Am I jumping ahead to another episode?
No, you're not. You are, but you're not, because it's still it'll roll into the other episode.
You have to look at every link in the chain. So you start, here's what I need to accomplish. I need speakers in this room, and this room. I need this audio in this room to touch me emotionally.
Is that what today's episode is? I was going to say, is that what today's episode is? Is that where we're taking things? Okay.
I need to be touched with the music.
Okay. Okay.
Now, this means a number of things. One, I have to consider my source. Is it going to provide me the fidelity
Yes.
to touch me emotionally? Now, it could just be a song. And you've been around long enough that a song will remind you of something in your past that makes you happy.
Yep.
A single song is like, oh yeah.
Yep.
Just
Now, I will say that listening to that song on the speakerphone of my phone still brings me the reminiscing of it, but it doesn't bring me. But listening to it through like an actual good dedicated preamp and amplifier system that is able to give me the full breadth of what it is definitely worth it.
through the years, I've traveled with our sales staff, and we have been to a couple of real hi-fi stores.
Yep.
I set Miranda down, I think it was in Nashville, Tennessee, set her down in a store where she heard for the first time in her life hi-fi.
Yeah.
Not stereo, not audio,
Yep.
hi-fi.
Yep.
And that's one of those things where the hairs on your arm stand up.
Yep.
The same thing with Bob. Bob and I wound up, I think we're in Ohio at this guy's store, and he sells some video, but what he had was hi-fi.
Yep.
It's like, Bob, just sit there, close your eyes, relax.
I would say that experience and we're running short on time, but that experience of what you're describing for hi-fi audio, I would say that a well-tuned Atmos arrangement and an Atmos environment will do that as well. To maybe not to the same type of experience as what the hi-fi system does, but the Atmos system is just fantastic for that. And I know I'm off topic right now, but I get that because that I have experienced, like a true Atmos environment where you have You are in a dedicated seat that is the listening seat for an Atmos setup. And even just the demo reels that they have for some of that stuff, like the one that has like the little spinning helicopter seed or maple seed, and it's it starts whirling around your head and whatnot. And the best thing is in those environments to close your eyes and listen to it, because it does move around you, and they do a very good job with it. And yeah, I have experienced the goosebumps when it comes to something like that. I've also experienced it as well in the sound quality world in car audio. Here in Daytona, we have, or used to have, the Spring Break Nationals. Unfortunately, they're no longer happening. But at the Spring Break Nationals, they had the sound quality competitions. And I was lucky enough to be someone who was allowed to go and listen to the different sound quality competition vehicles. And it was spectacular. It was, and some of these guys put way too much money, to be perfectly honest, way too much money into these vehicles.
Okay, stop. Stop.
Yeah.
First off, there's no such thing as too much, only not enough.
Yes, I will give you that.
When it comes to hi-fi,
Yep.
when it comes to fidelity, when it comes to musical enjoyment,
Yep.
the only limit is how much you can spend.
Yeah.
Now, you reach a point with amplifiers, with speakers, even with cables, where to get that little, and I'm talking little infinitesimal gain, the dollars versus the gain.
Yep.
And that's what made auditioning hi-fi, back in the 80s, we sold a ton of Boston Acoustic A60 Series 2, which is a reasonably inexpensive speaker for the time on a NAD 40 watt per channel integrated amp with a dual turntable, and it was probably $1,000 for the whole package.
Yeah.
Maybe $1,000.
Yeah.
But it brought so much joy to so many people.
Yeah. So Dustin Halterman saying he just watched The Equalizer 2 in Atmos. The entire third act in the Hurricane was an experience. I'll have to. Well, I haven't seen the second one yet, so I'll have to watch that in Atmos when I get a chance.
They did a hell of a job in the cinematography for that and the effects.
Yeah.
Because they're in a storm.
Okay. All right. So we are running out of time, and I have two more topics that I need to get to really quick. So let's go ahead and jump past our
Types of connections.
And our episode half or 0.5 of hi-fi, and we'll jump into the next topic, which is I already got that one on there. What is your favorite source? And we're going to jump past that one, and we're going to jump into. Come on now, give me the next one.
Do you know where we're going?
And what is the future of inputs? Do you know what the future of inputs is?
Hopefully, it's still copper. Or a physical connection, whether it's copper or fiber.
Well,
and I'll tell you why I say that. But still, it's got to connect to something. I don't like Wi-Fi as a connection.
Yes,
and we had
a
this
hardwired
discussion.
connection. Yes, a hardwired connection is definitely good. You go into something like this, like the.
But
well, it's
that's
going to
a
go here
source.
onto this one here because, of course, I'm not signed into it yet. But with the, and see, I got it all screwed up now. There it is. So the future of sources for the average consumer. The future of sources is either going away or it's going to become your phone is the source to control the TV. That's really where it's headed.
See, I disagree.
Okay.
I think it's this or this interfaced with this or Roku.
Okay.
And I tell you why, because I don't want to pick my phone up at home to look at little tiny fonts to pick the songs I want.
Yep.
It's simply Alexa, play.
Yep.
And that's it. Alexa, play Billboard in 1977. I'm feeling nostalgic.
You just made someone's Alexa do something and
I
that
hope
they're
so.
watching. Yeah.
Alexa, play Frank Sinatra's greatest hits.
There you go.
That is my interface.
Okay.
I've got, now I still manually control my volume because my Crestron system
Yep.
is quite old at my house.
Yeah.
So I do have to go up to the touch panel and select my zones, turn them on, select my source, which now I'm down to a single source. When I set the system up, I had CD player, DVD player, 2 cable boxes, and a iPod dock.
Yep.
Now I'm down to
That.
Yeah,
you just tell it what to do and it does it, right?
I mean, that's my only source.
And it's done really well.
Yes.
We've got Randall actually said, and Randall, I missed this, I apologize. Randall said that his favorite for today is a Samsung UHD 4K player. It's a very good source for today, is what he says. And I will agree with you on that. However, I will combat you and say that the Sony UBP X series Blu-ray players are superior.
And you know what? I'll combat you on that and say the Panasonic's better than both.
And we can all shut down and say that the Oppo wins if they were stuck around,
because
right?
it's gone. And the Panasonic is the spiritual replacement.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
The Oppo.
Well, a lot of the team that worked on the Blu-ray Oppo moved over to Panasonic, didn't they?
So,
yeah, no.
in my opinion, the Panasonic is probably the best physical media source.
Yeah.
Non-vinyl, physical, digital media source.
And then Randall says that a couple decades ago, he would say he liked the Pioneer Laserdisc.
Oh, man. In fact,
the giant. Do you have a Laserdisc? Please tell me you have a Laserdisc.
I don't have a player anymore.
Do you have the disc?
I have some disc.
Okay.
In fact, today I was at the warehouse going through stuff, and there was a Pioneer Laser karaoke disc. They had the karaoke, and it's so old it still had the karaoke bird logo on it.
Oh, that's great.
With this bird looking like, the one from Cocoa Puffs, holding a microphone.
Yep, toucan.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, not Toucan Sam, the Cocoa Puff bird, except multicolored, holding a microphone.
Oh, yeah, that's the weird looking one. And then we've got, let's see, Steve Barrett is saying, Randall, he just watched he just watched Slapshot on his Alpha Turn Pioneer Laserdisc player. And he says it's still one of his favorite formats.
Alpha Turn actually moved the laser mechanism. It's a big, tall machine.
Okay.
So with the laser, just like a record player.
Sure.
You load the disc, it plays side A, you have to unload it, flip it over, play side B.
Okay.
But the Alpha Turn physically moved the laser around.
Oh, so it moved to the end of the disc and flipped it over and then started playing again?
Now it still took
a while. Yeah, no. Oh man, such good stuff. Okay, so the future of inputs.
Apocalypse Now on Laserdisc.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fortunate Son starts playing and
no, when the tiger jumps out of the jungle.
Oh
my God.
Have that hooked up with S video to a 480.
Yes.
Okay. See, I'm learning. Right? I can get this stuff. And look, just because I'm quote unquote a millennial.
By the way, it was on tube projectors.
Okay.
Not LCD, not DLP, not LCOS, tubes.
Yep. So, okay, we have an idea of where sources are going. I'm of the mindset that it's going to kind of become more of a combined system into like just a one device. However, I will say that the option to be able to upgrade very easily. Welcome back, Leo.
Did Leo leave us?
I guess he did, but he's back now. The possibility of taking and upgrading a source or changing out a source for something different, I think that will be enough to keep an outboard player of some kind as a device.
For most people, they're going to have this and maybe a Sonos or something like that.
Sure.
And that's going to be their hi-fi, and I feel sad for those people. I mean, look, this is, honestly, it's not bad.
No, it's not.
It's not good, but it's not bad.
They've done very good with DSPs nowadays.
But it's still not hi-fi.
Yeah.
And when you look at a television, yes, it's convenient. You get the art and the album and all that on it. But the DACs, the processing that's internal to those is on a good day marginal.
Yeah.
On a bad day, it's not even marginal.
Yeah.
So there's still going to be a market, and I think we as an industry are doing a disservice to our customers by not introducing them. You know what? I get, granted, this, wow, it's broke now.
You're just breaking stuff now.
This was $39.
Yeah.
And by the way, they overheat and shut down.
Yes.
But you can buy a better, an Echo Dot and use it that doesn't overheat and shut down.
Yes.
And that's a really good place to start, but it's not the end.
No, it's a starting
beginning.
Point. There is, I wonder if I should save this for the next episode. I'm going to save this for the next episode. Okay, so we have an idea for, hey, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I apologize. Arnulfo, is that correct? Cardenas. Cardenas? I apologize, but yes. How's it going? Welcome to the episode. Leo is saying an NAD M10. Is that an amplifier? Or is that
I'm going to assume that's an amp. That's a newer one to me. I'm old school NADs.
Okay.
Go NAD.
Austin is saying Tidal masters are no joke, which I will agree with you on that. And then Arnulfo is saying Infinite Audio McAllen, or McAllen. thinking on selling cameras. Oh, he's okay. Cool. Welcome to the show. So, if you have questions, reach out to. Actually, you can give us a call on this number down here, 386-492-8584. If you have questions about what you need to get into Arnulfo, just give us a call and we'll help you out with that. We can even get you over to the sales team to get you all set up with that as well. So give us a call. Okay, so the last little bit, and we're running right up until the end on this one, but the last topic that I wanted to talk about was how do you troubleshoot inputs? And before we talk about just troubleshooting inputs in general, I want to talk about how do we troubleshoot to verify that it is the input's problem.
Now, are we talking an output from the source or an input into your switching device?
Well, I'm specifically talking about sources. I guess that's the better way to put it. How do we troubleshoot to verify that it is a source is the problem? Yeah. Is there a way, when we're looking at the entire system and we're having to troubleshoot because something isn't working right, is there a way for us to make sure that we work our way backwards and say, okay, well, yep, I'm sorry, the Roku is dead, you need to call up Roku and get a replacement? Is there one particular way to do that, or is there any one pathway?
Well, the very first thing you need to do is carry a couple of items with you all the time.
Yes.
If you're an iPhone user, always have an iPhone Lightning port to headphone adapter.
Yes.
Always have a stereo mini to dual RCA cable to plug into that adapter.
Yep.
Because you have no guarantee that whatever job site you're going to has another source.
Yep.
So number one is you have to come prepared with your own sources.
The Mi Box.
The Mi Box, but does that have a headphone jack on it?
It does have a headphone jack.
The drawback is you need video to do anything with it.
You can cast to it. So you can set this up to where you can cast directly to it.
But you still have to have video to...
No, because you can just cast like your Spotify.
Okay.
Or anything else to it.
But how do you, if you've got that plugged in analog only, how do you know, don't you have to select some settings inside of that to cast to it?
No. Well, you would have to set it up initially first.
Okay, so we're back to...
Well, what I'm saying is that you can set it up before you put it on your truck. Like set it up at the office, and then from there it doesn't need Wi-Fi. It just kind of runs on its own. Yep.
Okay.
So now the other cool thing about this one, this is the Mi Box, and we've talked about this little Mi Box.
We love this piece
a lot. Good call out, Leo. Yeah, ask for Austin; he'll help you out. The other cool thing about this
is that one of our sales guys?
It's no
Austin.
Austin, yeah, Austin. Anyways.
Hi, Austin.
The audio output on this is also a Toslink audio output.
Right.
So
it's
that 3.5.
One of the Mac Minis.
Yeah, it's that 3.5.
Or the Mac laptops.
Yep. That 3.5 that also gives you the ability to do a digital output on it. I forget what the adapter's called for that.
ST.
ST. Okay. But it also has an HDMI output. It's 4K. So you can do that.
So it covers a lot of stuff, and you can put content on it.
Exactly. It's got an internal storage, so you can put stuff on there and actually test it with that.
4kmedia.org.
Yep.
So you got video and audio capability built into that machine.
Or my favorite, which is the Big Buck Bunny, which I've said multiple times. So that's...
Is he up to 8K yet?
Probably, I'm assuming it probably is, because the master files are out there to where you can just render it yourself if you want to.
Okay.
So we've got the basic idea of how to make sure that it's the source. The easiest way to do it is just to swap out that source and put something else in.
Something else to plug into that cable.
And see if it works.
Do not, believe me, I don't care who makes your cable.
Yep.
Do not assume that it's not the cable.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yep, it happens.
Or it could be an input on your switching device.
Look, our return rates right now when it comes to HDMI cables for us is less than 0.1%. But the thing is that there still has to be something for us to get less than 0.1%. So it happens, and the truth is that just don't think for a second that it's not the cable itself. That's one of the things that we will test also when you call in for troubleshooting tech support on that, because we'll say, hey, try this, try that. What cable's plugged into it? It's one of mine. Okay, swap that cable out and try a different one.
So if it's an analog system, have RCA barrels.
Yep.
And a 3.5 to headphone adapter.
Yep.
With RCA outs or Lightning or USB-C.
There are many of the 3.5 millimeter to RCA adapters.
He's off camera.
Out there, and there are lots and lots and lots of different RCA cables you can get out there.
Our wire box.
Yeah, I'm stealing from my my collection, and these are things that you should have in your troubleshooting box. You should have a box, a toolbox, that just has a bunch of stuff in it for troubleshooting. Extra cables, extra sources.
RCA barrels. Now, I'm going to tell you right up front, do not pull any of these inexpensive headphone to RCA adapter cables out of a package and assume they're perfect. Please test before you go to the job site.
Yeah, go. You should have you should have
I pulled
a
them out
time.
of Sonos boxes and they did not work.
You should go through. We were at an hour. You should go through and once a month, once every 3 weeks.
Check these things.
Check your troubleshooting
They
kit. Make
lead a
sure everything
life.
is working like it's supposed to. These are things that I have just set aside over here that when we get in defective items, I'll go over here, grab those, and use them for test purposes. And I do the same thing. About once a month, about once every 3 weeks, I'll check them, make sure that they still work. Luckily, I have enough stuff that comes through here often enough that I don't have to go out of my way to check it. I just verify that it's still working, and then I move on. If I need another one, then I order up another one. Troubleshooting sources truly is just a matter of just doing the normal troubleshooting steps.
Yeah, it's the same thing we do for everything else.
Yeah. Now, I would say that at a certain point, what is the cutoff point between, okay, this one is definitely a problem, but is it a problem that needs to be replaced, or is it a problem that needs to be fixed? Other than in price
Pretty
point,
much everything now is replaced.
just replace. Yeah. Now there could be settings, because the sources are probably the things that have the most settings that alter the output of whatever it is.
For all you old guys out there, remember tape loop switches?
Well, yeah, we had this.
Tape monitor
We had this
switches?
conversation before. What's the main? Well, you get a call that says, "Hey, my hi-fi system isn't playing any audio right now. I don't know what's going on." Turn your volume all the way down to zero. There's a button that says tape MON. Press that. Okay. Turn the volume up very slowly. Oh, it works. What's tape MON, Brent?
Tape monitor.
Tape monitor.
And the whole purpose of that was if you had a cassette deck, or 8-track, or reel-to-reel,
Sure.
they had an in and an out on them.
Yeah.
So you needed also the same connections on your receiver.
Yes.
They weren't called AVRs then.
Yep.
Or your preamp. So you come output, tape out to your input on your tape deck, and then from tape out on your tape deck to tape in or record in
Yep.
on your AVR. Excuse me, your stereo receiver.
Yep.
So you could select your source, turntable, tuner, other tape deck, or whatever else you got. And the problem is, when the tape monitor was engaged, data left, and it was assuming that there was something coming back.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was actually finally listening to.
Yeah,
It
was
wasn't
that-
listening to your source select.
Yep.
It was listening to that input on the tape.
Right.
So,
Oof.
yeah.
Oof. Okay.
Got a lot of those.
Yeah. And so we've gone through, I'm going here and checking off the things that we've talked about. So we've gone through pretty much all that I could talk about right now on inputs. And we've inspired a new
series?
episode series that we'll have to talk about and get scheduled on there. So keep an eye out for that, which of course, guys, thank you so much for watching today's
I
episode.
think we should do that one in my house.
Maybe.
Because we got hi-fi.
Yeah, that might work. Just go ahead, instead of bringing everything here.
Oh, there's no place to put it here.
We'll talk. We'll discuss that. So, guys, again, thank you so much for checking out today's episode.
Send
Here we go.
photos of your hi-fi.
Okay, Leo, we are going to talk about that next episode. So come back next Wednesday at 3 p.m. to find out the answer for Leo's question.
Actually, 301.
Because with that, yeah. Anyways, Leo was asking, how do you battle signal loss when going from adapter to adapter to adapter?
So
we will discuss
good topic
that
for next week.
Yes, it is. So we will discuss that next week while we talk about interconnects. And I don't just mean, again, like I said, I don't just mean the cables that interconnect
the whole
everything,
connectivity
but everything
chain.
in between. You know, whether it's an
chain.
AVR or whether it's a splitter or a switch or whatever it is, or it could be something like a what is that? It takes speaker level and gives you line level.
An LOC.
LOC. Thank you.
Line output converter.
Line output converter. That's what I was looking for. You could have a line output converter somewhere in
And
there
we
because
sold them in the home for those of you who remember the early days of Carver.
Yep.
Carver was an amplifier company.
Yep.
Bob Carver.
Yep.
He came from another company prior to that, but
Yep.
under the Carver brand, he sold these cubes, about the cube, if this was square. And it was 200 watts per channel, weighed no weight at all, because it's all chip.
Sure.
But he designed it so he had an LOC that would accept a 50 watt per channel input from a stereo receiver.
Wow.
And convert it down. Yeah, it was a beefy
Okay.
LOC.
So, and actually, I know that LOCs have been used in the home because I don't know
We've
if
recommended them.
Mike, if you're on the episode today, over here on Beach Street, I had a client that was a insurance salesman, and there was an LOC in the wall that would then go to a wireless subwoofer transmitter, which then wirelessly transmitted to a subwoofer in the middle of the room.
Wow. Okay.
It was one of those situations to where I'm not going to fault them for this type of connection, because honestly,
It's what had to be
there
done.
was no other way to do it. There really wasn't, unless you wanted to redesign the entire system. Sonic holography.
Oh yeah, sonic holography.
Is that a
Bob
today
Carter, Sonic
episode?
holography.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You take a little of the left channel, inject it into the, or a little of the right channel, inject it in the left channel. A little of the left channel, inject it into the right channel. It's just basically the same thing as a Type C oral exciter.
Okay.
And that's not ORAL, that's AU.
AU.
Yeah.
AURAL. Okay. Anyways, all that to say, guys, thank you again for checking in today's episode. If you have further questions about whatever it is that we talked about today, feel free to leave it down in the comment section. If you have pictures of jobs that you've either done in the past or jobs that you're working on right now,
your own hi-fi.
or your own hi-fi system, or if you have just pieces of equipment just laying around in a
It's sexy.
Yeah, exactly. Or if it's just sitting in a storage unit somewhere, take a picture of it, send it to us on our Instagram at AVTechTips. We would love to hear from you on that as well. But from there, everybody, I think that's pretty much it. We are past an hour now at this point, so I think we really got to kind of wrap it up.
I'm Brent.
I'm Adam.
Reboot early.
Reboot often.
Turn off CEC.
Don't get your wires too short.
Call tech support.
Call tech support.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. We'll see
Have
y'all
a good
next
day.
time.